Mangona nimane lepo vukenjani. Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Betty and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well, Ashwin. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I'm excited for tonight.
Yes. MTV Awards are on tonight. Several shows Diana and I are part of are nominated. Diana and I are nominated in the same category. Whoever wins buys dinner. So
it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. And of course, it's a win-win for our audience as well. You see some of your favorite personalities from NTV glitzed and glamoured up as we celebrate not just NTV, but the people that make the machinery work.
Exactly. That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say celebrate me, but
we always celebrate you.
No,
that's an everyday thing.
Now let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. An update on the AKA case. 6 were arrested as it emerged a musician was followed from the airport. Ghana's parliament has passed a highly contentious anti-LGBTQ+ bill, and Ugandan warlords LRA victims awarded share. We'll also be bringing you news from Zimbabwe a little later on in the show with talent Gore, but for now we'll be taking a quick ad break, and when we get back we get into our top stories.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
We start off in South Africa, where Police Minister Becky Cele says 6 suspects have been arrested for the murder of award-winning rapper Kiernan aka Forbes and his friend, chef and entrepreneur Tebelo Tibbs Motswane. The pair were gunned down outside the Wish restaurant in Durban on the 10th of February last year. In an address to reporters on Tuesday evening, Cele said suspects were connected to other murder cases. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwananzi said investigations showed that the musician was followed from when he landed at Durban's King Shaka Airport on the 10th of February 2023 to his hotel at Umhlanga and then to the Wish restaurant where he was gunned down.
Now an update on the anti-LGBTQ+ law in Ghana. The new bill imposes a prison sentence of up to 3 years for anyone convicted of identifying as LGBTQ+. It also imposes a maximum 5-year jail term for forming or funding LGBTQ+ groups. The bill was approved unanimously on Wednesday following the completion of the third reading. Proposed amendments to the bill were rejected by the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, during the session. Lawmakers heckled down attempts to replace prison sentences with community service and counseling. It is the latest sign of growing opposition to LGBTQ+ rights in the conservative West African nation. The bill is now slated to be forwarded to President Akufo-Addo for his assent for it to be signed into law. The president has in the past said that he would do so if the majority of Ghanaians want him to.
Now, victims of Ugandan warlord Dominic Ongwen have been awarded more than $56 million by the International Criminal Court. The order covers almost 50,000 people, including former child soldiers and children born out of rapes and forced marriages. Ongwen was a ruthless rebel commander in the Lord's Resistance Army. He is currently serving a 25-year prison term in Norway for multiple war crimes and crimes against humanity. He was originally abducted as a child and forced to join the LRA, but went on to become one of the leaders of the notorious rebel group. During his trial, his argument that he should also be treated as a victim was rejected by the court. The crimes were committed by his rebel fighters in northern Uganda in the early 2000s.
Now, an overnight attack on the offices of Chad's internal security agency in the capital, N'Djamena, has killed several people, the government said on Wednesday, accusing elements of an opposition party. While blaming the assault on the National State Security Agency on activists from the opposition Socialist Party Without Borders, headed by Yaya Dillo, the government said the situation is now completely under control and the perpetrators of this act have been arrested or are being sought and will be prosecuted. The number of deaths was not given in the statement. The statement came after the government said a PSF member Ahmed Torabi was arrested and accused of an assassination attempt against the president of the Supreme Court. However, Dillo denounced the attack against the Supreme Court president as staged. PSF's General Secretary told the Reuters news agency that the deaths near the security agency occurred when soldiers opened fire at a group of party members. He said Torabi had been shot dead on Tuesday and his body was deposited at the agency's headquarters.
Now, more than 50 journalists have sent an open letter calling on Israel and Egypt to provide free and unfiltered access to Gaza for all foreign media. The letter is signed by correspondents and presenters for broadcasters with UK bases, including the BBC's Jeremy Bowen, Liza Doucette, and Michelle Hussein. It says the need for comprehensive on-the-ground reporting is imperative. Israel's military says its troops have taken journalists on escorted trips in Gaza to allow them to report safely. Palestinian journalists and media workers have reported from inside Gaza since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas. Now, in the letter, the 55 journalists write that foreign reporters are still being denied access to the territory outside of the rare and escorted trips with the Israeli military. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Talent Gore about the stories in Zimbabwe.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Now in Zimbabwe, doctors and nurses to strike today over poor pay. This is according to the union. Here to give us the full details of the story, Talent Gore. Talent, Mamkase.
Africa. So nurses and doctors in Zimbabwe were planning on striking starting today, but however late last night the Minister of Health has said that the strike will not go on, as the ministry and the health board will be talking to the nurses and doctors to hear their grievances and also try to address their grievances. The doctors and the nurses had written to the ministry saying that they were going on strike today due to poor salaries and bad working conditions. But last night, the Minister of Health said that it was un-Zimbabwean and they were going to be talking to the doctors and the nurses to ensure that they do not go on that planned strike. The minister also says that they were going to be reviewing the needs of the doctors and the nurses, because the doctors and the nurses are saying that our salaries, they are deteriorating due to high inflation, and what we're earning is not what we should be earning, so we need more. And they're saying that the conditions which are in the hospitals, they are not ideal for work. They need a better working conditions for them to go on there's like any other job. But right now there are no paracetamol pills, they are not available in hospitals, so they're saying that they need the basics in the hospitals so that they can continue with their duties. So the minister said that they're going to talk to the doctors and the nurses and try to address their grievances.
All right, Talent. I just want some clarity there. Did the minister say that it is un-Zimbabwean for the nurses and doctors to go on strike?
Yes, he did say that. He said that it was un-Zimbabwean for doctors and nurses to strike.
Okay, so just following the minister's logic, it is Zimbabwean to get paid poorly. It is Zimbabwean to have to work with inefficient machinery. It is Zimbabwean to not be able to serve your people properly in the medical field. That's the minister's logic. Something to think about there. Now, Zimbabwean authorities have intensified the search of an Australian tourist who got lost in Victoria Falls. Tell us more.
Yes, an Australian tourist got lost or is missing in Victoria Falls. He was declared missing on Friday by the Zimpox spokesperson Tinashe Farao, who said that the tourist had left his lodge to go into the Victoria Falls National Park, and ever since then he hasn't been found. So the Zimbabwe National Parks is saying that they have intensified their search for the tourist who has been missing for the past almost a week now. And they're saying that the CCTVs in the Victoria National Park are failing to locate him. So right now they have sent out the Zimbabwe Republic Police and sniffer dogs, and also the Zim team is also on the ground searching for him. So he was declared missing on Friday last week, and it's almost Friday, so it's almost a week now since he has been missing.
That is deeply concerning. You know, growing up, we've been hearing these stories of tourists disappearing, especially in Chinoy caves.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
In those areas, it's certainly worrisome, and we hope the tourists can be found.
Now, in the last of your stories, Talent, major roads construction underway in Zimbabwe in preparation for the 44th SADC summit in August. Do tell us more.
Yes, at least 40 roads are under construction right now in Zimbabwe in preparation for the 44th SADC summit, which is going to be held in Harare. One of the major roads which has been totally destroyed, because they're saying that they want to build a new road, is Julius Nyerere, which is one of the major roads in Harare. Yesterday, touring at the site, the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development, who is in the picture with some government officials, said that the road construction in Harare is going to take at least 3 weeks. So they're saying that all the 40 roads that are under construction in Harare, they are going to be done in 3 weeks. But some major roads, they are anticipating that by the 31st of July, some of the major roads which are under construction will be done ahead of the SADC summit in August. So the citizens are saying that it seems like the government has the capacity to build roads and to maintain.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you, because I wanted us to just, just drop the broadcaster veil for a second. Let's just talk Zimbo to Zimbo. These potholes and bad roads have been there for literally decades at this point. You could count 20 years back to when the deterioration began, and the trajectory has not gotten any better. It took a SADC summit, the 44th one, for 40 roads to finally be fixed. Please continue your thoughts, Talent.
Yes, so the citizens are saying that the government has the capacity to build roads or even build new roads, but they just don't have the will to do so. But it took them to host the SADC 44th summit for them to actually go into the streets and repair all the roads and maintain all the roads, or even deconstruct bad roads and start new roads. So they're saying that they just don't want to do it for us, but they can do it for visitors which are coming, because they do have the capacity. What they are doing right now, there's a major road construction that is happening. So the citizens are saying that they do have the capacity to do that. Why can't they just do it when we don't have a SADC summit coming up or any major events happening in Zimbabwe? Why can't they just maintain the roads? Because the potholes, they are just too much.
I mean, I guess the answer is more events, have as many events as possible. In Namibia, you can hire Gaza, get Lich, several folks who can swing over, and we can just keep having events so that infrastructure can happen in Zimbabwe. Thank you, Talent Gore, for bringing us the stories.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having Talent Gore to give us an update on all the news making headlines in Zimbabwe. What's also good to have is the weather predictions, so you know how to dress and how to leave the house. Let's take a look.
We start our economic news stories in Mozambique, where work on doubling of the Resano-Garcia railway line is practically complete. The first phase of the project covers a length of 42 kilometers between Matolagare and Sekongene in the Moamba district, Maputo province. Agostino Langa Jr., chairman of the board of directors of Portos es Caminos de Ferro de Mozambique, said that the company had invested in total around $80 million of its funds in the project. Now, this investment will increase the freight transport capacity of the Resano-Garcia line from 13.0 to 24.0 million tons per year.
Now from Mozambique to Kenya, Zanzibar has allowed Kenyan low-cost carrier Jambo Jet to start direct flights between Mombasa and the island. From July 1st, 2024, the airline will fly 4 times a week between the two destinations, with fares starting from $113 for a one-way ticket. Jambo Jet Managing Director and CEO Karanja Ndengwa said the new route marks a major milestone for the airline as it gears up to celebrate its 10th anniversary in April. The carrier was named the 2023 leading low-cost airline in Africa at the World Travel Awards and has flown over 7 million passengers, 44% of whom were first-time flyers. Zanzibar's Minister of Infrastructure, Communications and Transport, Dr. Khalid Salum Mohammed, said the airline will boost its number of international visitors. Dr. Mohammed said a majority of its travelers are tourists and business people.
Those have been our stories on Africa. Good morning, our economic news stories, that is. We're going to head over to the economic indicators just before Ari joins us for the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer first, it's FA Cup action, and it was Manchester City that beat Luton by 6 goals to 2. That goal was played at Luton, a great win for Manchester City, and the big performer in that game for Manchester City was their Norwegian striker, it's Erling Haaland, and Erling Haaland scored 5 goals, incredible performance by Erling Haaland. And it was briefly 3 goals to 2. That was Luton that came closer to Manchester City at one stage, but then it was Manchester City that pulled away to book their place in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And it is Haaland that now scored 27 goals in all competitions this year so far. And it is Manchester City that try and emulate their season last year when they won the treble. And the treble comprises of the English Premier League title, also the FA Cup, and also the Champions League. Difficult to do, only been done twice before, but they're in line to do it again. The only setback for Manchester City was Jack Grealish. He's the England winger, so he was injured in the first half, so that is a concern for Pep Guardiola, the coach of Manchester City. Other 2 games that was played in the FA Cup 5th round, these teams also through to the quarterfinals, the last 8, and it's Newcastle that beat Blackburn. They beat them on penalties 4 goals to 3, and it was Leicester City that won away at home from home at Bournemouth, and it was a goal in extra time in the 105th minute. It was Abdul Fatawu that scored the winner for Leicester City. On to tennis, and it is the Dubai Tennis Championship for men that's continuing. Round of 32 games that was played. It's number 1 seed Daniil Medvedev, too strong for Alexander Shevchenko, and he beat him 6-3 and 7-5. And also there were 2 Frenchmen playing in the round of 32. That was Hugo Humbert that beat Gael Monfils, and the score there was 4-6, 6-3 and 6-3. The number 1 seed is Daniil Medvedev. Number 2 seed in the tournament is Andrei Rublev of Russia. And then number 3 seed is Hubert Hurkacz, and he is from Poland. Closing off today's international sports news with rugby news. It is French rugby that is under pressure. That was after a bad performance by the French national men's side when they played Six Nations game against Italy. That was at Lille. That was a home game for them, and they drew the game 13-all. Almost lost the game. Last penalty from Italy against the upright, and it was 13-all in the end. But it's France rugby that indicated that the coach, that is Fabien Galtier, his position is not in danger at the moment. There were speculation that his position is under pressure after also losing to Ireland earlier on, and it is French rugby that said that they're looking forward in 2 weeks' time when they play against Wales. That game will be on Sunday the 10th of March. That will be played in Cardiff. That's the next game for France when they play against Wales, and Wales don't have a good season as well. They've lost all 3 of their games in the Six Nations so far. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in. Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahana.
Hy sê wie hy is aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
but just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love that. I love that. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one. Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy, and this is the spirit of NTV.
You're still with Africa. Good morning for those of you that are just joining us. Let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. 6 arrested as it emerges that AKA, the famous South African musician, was followed from the airport before being gunned down. Ghana's parliament has passed a highly contentious anti-LGBTQ+ bill after about 3 years of deliberations. Doubling of the Rosana line capacity nears completion. This is in Mozambique.
Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning, and remember this evening at 6:30 p.m. DSTV 285, Gore TV 25, all our social media platforms. It is the NTV Awards, and you get to see Diana look as good as she talks. Have a good morning.